Welcome to the Blackboard Ultra training series. In this video, we're going to cover the basics of working with discussions inside of Blackboard Ultra. To begin, let's log in and access our course. The first discussion is going to be in the Week 1 folder, so we'll navigate to that folder. And it's a learning activity, so we'll look in this subfolder, and here's our discussion. To access the discussion, we can simply click its title. Another way to access discussions is to go directly to the entire discussion board by clicking this icon here. So let's use the first method and enter discussion 1. Once we've opened the discussion, we will see any instructions, grading criteria, and learning outcomes that our faculty member built in for us. If the faculty member populated any due dates, they would appear here. In our case, the faculty member wrote the due dates directly in the instructions. We can see that this discussion is worth 10 points, and in the instructions the faculty member explained how those 10 points are distributed among the two components of the course. So the first thing to do is read the instructions, where we're prompted to make an initial post by a certain point in time, addressing a number of prompts, and we're told how much this initial post is worth. And then we're advised to make at least one peer response by this time, and there's a little bit of an explanation as to what's coming down the line. So there will be some working groups, and therefore it helps to get to know classmates. Under grading criteria, the faculty member is telling us that the initial post and peer responses instructions have to be followed, as well as the netiquette policy from the syllabus, and that the learning outcomes are to begin to connect with the subject of the course, introduce yourself, and get to know classmates. So, to make the initial post, you would type a response. So, let's just say that we're making our sample introduction here. And when we push respond, our initial post is now listed in the course at the top. So the newest contributions to the discussion board will always be at the top. The oldest will always be at the bottom. And you can see all of them by scrolling up and down using the scroll bar in the margin, and let me move it here so you can see it. Next, we are advised to make at least a peer response. So to make a peer response, first we read our colleagues' initial posts, and then whenever we're ready, we make a response. So in our example, we're going to respond to this student and their introduction. So this is Jeremy. And Jeremy addressed each one of the prompts using exactly those 5 bullets or 5 items that the faculty member was asking for. So we would read Jeremy's post, and then to reply, we would push the reply button, and we would make our response. And whenever we're ready, we would push reply. Now let's take a minute here and look at our formatting toolbar. Under text style, you can style your paragraph or your text. By default, everything is typed in paragraph form, but you could switch to subheader, which takes it one level up, or header takes it another level up, or title, which evidently is the title. So let's take it back to paragraph. Under T, you can change the font. The default font for Blackboard is Open Sun. Let's say you want to change to Arial, so you would highlight the portion you wish to put in a different font, and then click Arial to apply that font. So we are now in Arial. Next, the A's allow you to modify the size of your font. The default size in Blackboard is 14. However, you can choose to go smaller or larger. It is up to you. Next, you can choose the color of your text. So when you click the drop-down box, some of the most basic colors are predefined. So let's say you might want to choose blue, and again, you would highlight your text and apply the color, and now your text appears in that color. Some other ways to format are to bold your text, to italicize it, underline it. Next, under text options, you have strike through, super, and subscript. Under alignment, you can align your text left, center, right, or in the middle, justify. You can create lists by pushing this inverted P, and this is where you have a bulleted list, a numbered list, as well as line height options. You can undo your last action by pushing the back arrow. You can remove formatting by, so let's highlight something and clear format. It strips any sort of prior formatting that we applied to that particular segment. Over here, you can create a link by pushing that chain and specifying the URL. So for example, we want to create a link to aum.edu, and then when we click insert, that link has been created, and now once we submit, that will become a clickable link that will go directly to AUM. Next, if we want to introduce an attachment to our post, we could do so by, let's say we want to attach this image. We would then be invited to choose a display name for the image that we're attaching, as well as alternate text to help those who are navigating with the screen reader. And if the image is decorative, you would check that box and then save, which would introduce the attachment into your discussion post. A final option is to insert more content. And this is where you can insert mathematical formulas or equations or symbols. You can insert images. You can insert media. So if you had a URL to, let's say, a YouTube video or something of that nature, you would insert it here. If you want to look through YouTube and find a video on a particular topic, you would click here and you will be able to navigate YouTube and pick a particular video to add here. If you have files stored in the cloud, you can bring them down with this option. And finally, something less likely for most people to use is an LTI item. Once you are done creating your peer response, you can push reply, and at that point your reply becomes visible here, and this is the link that we created. So this is what the Blackboard Ultra discussion looks like. If you wanted to find a post made by a particular person, you could type their name here, and you could then go directly to that person's post. And something else you can do here is simply scroll through the list of people in your course, click their name, and that will take you to any contribution they have made to the discussion. The last thing we'll point out is that replies are sort of collapsed underneath the initial post. To see them, you can push Show Replies, and then you can see what all others have responded to a particular post. And that concludes our training on discussions. And as we mentioned earlier, you can go directly to the discussion board by clicking the discussions icon at the top, where you can easily access the Q&A as well as any other discussions for your course.